Hello, and if you watched my first video, welcome back. I got a comment on that video asking me which artists inspire me from my good friend Alicia. So I thought that I would do a little tribute video to some of my favorite artists from my teen years all the way through now. So the first one is going to be, of course, Van Gogh. I had Van Gogh posters on my wall in high school, all through college. I don't know. I think that I'm just really attracted to really bright colors. His art style is not something that I necessarily think that I'd want to do as like my thing, but I tried to do kind of an impressionistic style for this little sample painting here. And that's basically going to be what this video is just me kind of paying a little tribute to some of my favorite artists in a little mini version. I tried to limit the sketches to be 30 minutes or less, so they're going to be very rough. And it's kind of also a practice to remind myself that, my sketchbook doesn't have to be perfect. And if I'm trying a new style, it's of course not going to be mastered. It's not going to be that good. So it's me just making an attempt. I was using my Himi gouache paints here and doing this little flower field. I was not overly happy with the way it turned out, but again, for the amount of time that I gave myself and lack of skills, it's not too bad. You'll have to not mind me. I'm still getting over this cold. And I also have 2 cats up here playing with me while I'm trying to do this voiceover who don't know the definition of personal space. So ignore any jingling in the background. So anyway, yeah, these sketchbook pages are only about the size of my hand. And I didn't switch out brushes. I didn't clean up my paint water. They were just meant to be a really quick, little homage to some artists that I like. You'll notice that, not all of them are necessarily done in that artist's style. This is obviously, Van Gogh did some impressionistic type stuff, and that's kind of what this is, but later on you'll see some where it's more a color scheme tribute, but not materials or style. So, don't judge me too harshly here. So anyway, I'm gonna let this one finish up and I will come back for the next one. So the next artist that I'm going to pop in and do was Andy Warhol. And of course, I am not going to be doing any kind of actual printmaking or anything. So I decided in order to do the tribute, I would do something in a can, of course, and then something just a little more modern in my taste. So I ended up deciding to do an Arizona tea can because I have been drinking them again a lot recently. And I just tried to make it a little bit more accurate to the size and shape. I used a lot of negative space in the background by just not adding a background. I didn't add a bunch of texture. And I did add in the shiny part, on the Campbell soup cans as a little shout out. So while this one plays, I was just wondering, anybody that's watching or cares, what kind of videos anyone would like to see in the future as far as, the kind of work I'm doing, which is kind of trying to get back into art. maybe some challenges I could do, or some like YouTube art school type, courses I could take. I really, really want to put the effort in. I know that something I'm going to start is a little series of filling up a new sketchbook that my lovely husband just bought me. That's going to be more for finished pieces, whereas this is more a scratch work, messy sketchbook, and I'm still going to finish it out that way. The new one that I got a Bristol board one so that I can use all the pages and it shouldn't have marker bleed and everything, and I'm going to make a little attempt. One thing, I love these alcohol markers, but something I've had a problem with is that top one is maybe kind of pastel, but they were from Walmart, so they're just like a kind of knockoff brand alcohol marker, and they actually work, as you can see, like really great. They're not dry, and they do what they're supposed to do. They're true to like alcohol marker, style and everything, but my problem with them is the colors are almost too pigmented, so I can't get a lot of those like lighter tones like I'm doing on the can there. That's one of the few that I have, whereas the rest of them, like I would have loved to have had a step between these two colors. I just kind of had to go with what I've got. Also, there's no brush tips in there, so you're gonna see my work is very chunky because it's either like these really hard little nibs or else the chisel, and I didn't think about that when I bought them a while back. So they're kind of not exactly what I was looking for, but I'm still going to use the heck out of them because we're not going to waste supplies up in here. I think that the next video I film, I'm going to do a little like overview of what art supplies I have, just because I'd love suggestions on what to do with those particular supplies, and just kind of show that you can still do some pretty cool art with pretty minimal supplies. And then maybe as I build up my collection, I can kind of review some of them and show you guys what I've bought and what I'm doing with them. Oh yeah, I think I repositioned so that you guys can see me do the lettering. Again, I'm a lot better at lettering normally, but I was just kind of trying to... I have a problem with being a bit of a perfectionist with my artwork, and then it ruins it. So I feel like giving myself a time limit. I think on a couple of these I went to like the 40-minute mark, but giving myself a time limit like kind of forces me to just say like, you know what, this is fine, and walk away from it. I know right here I go in to try to use a paint marker, and for some reason that marker is just so sheer, and I really needed an opaque white. So while I don't love doing the jelly roll pens for this kind of thing, it was the best solution I had instead of getting into my gouache paint, and I am really not good at letters with a brush, so we went in with the jelly roll, and it's just gonna have to be good enough. And then I remember I realized, wait, why didn't I end up doing the dark pink on the flowers at the very last minute there at the end? And here's my little gold leaf paint, which I am obsessed with. It smells so bad, but the effect is awesome, and it dries really, really fast. The next artist is a guy called PLF. He's an Atlanta-based street artist. And the reason that he was a big inspiration for me was that I took a class of his at the High Museum when I was a senior in high school, or a junior, one of the two. And it was a week-long class on street art. It was really cool. We ended up getting to like paint skateboards and go outside and like put on ventilators and paint with real spray paint and everything, and not get in trouble for it. So he was really nice. It was really cool. It introduced me to a whole new art style, and while his art style is not necessarily the same as mine, he uses a lot of vibrant colors and whatnot. So I decided to go with gouache because I really didn't want to waste sketchbook pages. So I'm painting over the back of that can page because I'm just using a little like thin Pentalic leather-bound sketchbook from Walmart, so all the markers show through. That was me checking to make sure my paint didn't bleed through to the other side, because I really like how that Arizona tea can came out. But yeah, so this is just an underpainting, so I wasn't super worried about it being perfect or anything. I just kind of wanted to fill the page and get a little base done to cover up what I had done. And I'm going to end up doing like a line work heavy floral based painting. So color scheme and slight style wise inspired by PLF, but mostly just kind of my own thing. And it was a little more organic maybe looking than something he would do. I'm going to use the word organic rather than bad because I'm still learning, and I think that I went a little over my time limit with this one just because there was so much line work that I added in. But yeah, so I just did like a rough pencil sketch first, and then we end up going in with black gouache over like the whole thing. And I was going to try to do the line work with the gouache, but I ended up doing it with, what are they called? They're like the anime drawing pens. Oh, I can't think of them. And they're like a super classic art supply that everybody has. I don't know why I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, just like one of the India ink brush pens to detail all of that. So I'm just going to let you guys watch for a minute, and I'll be back when we move on to the next artist. I forgot to mention, because I was so rushed at the beginning here, but my goal here was to do 6 artists that inspired me. The first 2 were going to be like classic artists. The second 2 were more contemporary artists, so that's what I'm working on now. And then the last 2 are YouTube artists that I found later on in life that I really, really love, and that have like kind of gave me the drive to start trying to do this on my own. Another fun quick shout out here is that the music you guys are hearing in the background here, actually my husband made, and he's a very talented musician. I specifically requested that he do a little lo-fi track for me, but he's actually more of a metal artist, and recently just got into trying to make house music. So you can find him all over the place as Unryand. Definitely give him a listen. He's great. So the second contemporary artist that we're about to move into in a second is KAWS. And I'm sure you guys have heard of him before. He does these really cool, almost like Mickey Mouse-esque it's also started as street art, I believe. I know I went to his exhibit at the High Museum as well. So what I tried to do was like a cartoony, very loose rendition of Grumpy Cat with the classic Cause, like bone ears. I don't know much about Cause as an artist. I just know that at the time I had gotten really into more modern / contemporary street art-esque stuff towards the end of high school, early college time. And I thought it was just super cool and edgy and fun. And I love all the colors and the pop culture references and everything. So I kind of tried to do that with mine too. Again, nowhere near as talented, but, you know, still just kicking it out. This one I did keep under the 30-minute mark for sure. So it's going to be super rough. I also learned that gouache, while it can be great for layering, definitely if you use too much water will pick up that background color. So in the future, I may use like acrylics for the background, because they're a little bit harder to lift off the page once they dry, because I did a straight up gouache backdrop for this one, because I believe I am planning on doing a marker drawing on the next page. So I tried to plan this out fairly intricately with what materials I would use on each one. And yeah, when I try to do like the white parts and the really, really light tan parts of the cat, it pulls that red, like sienna type color from the background into it, which isn't terrible. I mean, that's kind of the point of an underpainting, right? It kind of blends everything together a little bit. But yeah, anyway, so I actually also have a Siamese cat. Her name is Fruit Snacks. So I kind of thought it would be cute to use her. Something I learned about these paints is the browns were so nice and solid and went on like opaque and pretty. And these blues I was struggling with so hard. Like no matter how many times I layered them, you could just see straight through them and they weren't very vibrant, which, you know, like I love the Himi gouache set and I loved just like for the aesthetic of it and everything. It was a cool, fun purchase, but it does make me wonder, since I do love painting with gouache so much, if I should try another brand, maybe like some tube gouaches or acrylic gouache, something along those lines. And if any of you watching have tried any, I would love to know your experience, because yeah, this kind's good for certain things. I don't think it's good to paint over and underpainting. This is where it started to get really sloppy right there. And it was fully dry too, the background, and I was using very limited water because I wanted thick, kind of chalky colored paint while I was doing this. So I really feel like it was not performing well right there. Or maybe I'm just using it wrong, because I'm not an expert for by any means. There I am trying to like layer the blue up a little bit more, and it didn't get too much better. At least it's brighter. It definitely looks better now that I'm looking at it. I just remember while I was doing the painting getting really frustrated about that. Yeah, and then like the pink nose looks almost the same. It just wasn't very opaque. And then I am going to end up going through with a pencil to kind of line out some things. That's why I just kind of slapped those on there, because I was running out of time. So yeah, I went in with Prismacolor Premier Black, because my regular colored pencils really would not go over the gouache very well. And I almost kind of wish that I hadn't done it or had used maybe a pen instead, because I don't love the kind of chalky, scratchy look that the pencil left, and it kind of ripped some of the paint up as it went too. Gotta highlight the eyes. Yeah, my pen was not doing it, so I got the paint back out for that. I tried to cover up some of that mess on his chest with it. Okay. So my current YouTube obsession is Gretel Lusky. I watch her videos like every day while I'm doing art, and I only hope that I can aspire to be as talented as her one day. She's amazing and seems really sweet and gives really good art advice. So this spread I did with alcohol markers because I see her do it so much. And on top of that, I planned a color palette instead of just going ham with whatever I wanted. But I was having that same problem again with my markers just being a little bit too dark and pigmented and it being on the wrong kind of paper. So all of that along with the time limit, I ended up hating this fish. And believe it or not, I am using the colors from a reference photo. Like this fish was really these colors, which was so cool. And I think it's something that I want to try to redo maybe in my new sketchbook and do a better job and like have a cool fish to show for it. But maybe try it in watercolors or wait until I invest in a new box of markers, because I really think I want to try the Ohuhu ones next. I see that they have like a lot more color selection. I think mine is only a 24 pack, so I have to do a lot of blending and everything. So yeah, this fish was just not it. It's just not, you can't even hardly tell it's a fish afterwards. I like the color scheme, but I kind of gave up on him pretty fast. And I just decided that in order to pay tribute to my favorite YouTube artist right now, I would just kind of pick a theme and do a whole page of small drawings on theme, just because that's something I see her do a lot. So I figured that was kind of in style. And then in particular, she did this clamshell that I was absolutely obsessed with and thought it was so cool looking. She just recently did it and posted it on her Instagram. So I tried to do kind of my own version of one of those with a similar color scheme. Mine, of course, did not come out anywhere near like hers, but I actually ended up really proud of it. And I know it doesn't show a lot of promise right now, but at the end of the video, you'll see I like it. I would, I kind of want to redo it with a little more like time limit in my new sketchbook and try to do maybe an underwater spread in there that's a little more thought through. And I think it's the white pen that I use that ends up really making it. I just kind of like literally scribbled all of the basic shapes over with white pen, and look at how much better it looks. So pretty. And then I tried to see if I could do the same thing to save the fish, because I was like, wow, that worked so good on the on the shell. Let's see what we can do. And I think it made it worse. I don't know. The scales aren't bad, but the rest of it just, it's not good. So I think, yeah, I ended up deciding to go in and do some coral, like really, really loose coral. And I didn't do a sketch first. I just went for it. And I did like a bunch of different pieces, almost like a little mini coral reef at the top of my page. And I don't love the composition of my page at all, but I think that the coral came out really cool. I followed along with a picture on the internet of just a neat like fish tank kind of scene, or I don't know if it was a fish tank or like an aquarium, but that's all an aquarium is a big fish tank, really. But yeah, I just went through and I went straight in with the markers and tried to just tell myself to have fun and not stress about how it looks in the end, because you already did that fish. It can't get much worse. And I actually really liked it. I thought that it, while being really loose and very, very sketchy, it looks like the picture in a more cartoony way, which is really kind of what I was going for. I like the color scheme. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with it. It's not something that I would normally do, so. And I really like the layering pencil with the markers. I think I just need maybe some better materials for them to look a little bit nicer. Or maybe I just need to learn a little bit more about that technique. Maybe watch some more people do it, but. And then because I was so unhappy with the composition of the page, I decided to add in some bubbles because it's underwater. So, and I remember thinking like, oh, I wish I hadn't added in that purple. But then now when I've turned back to the page and it's dried up some and everything, I actually think it looks really cute. My last artist is Agnes Cecil. And I don't think she makes videos anymore, but when she used to, back in the day, which I also got my camera angle wrong, so just ignore that it's in portrait mode, but back in the day, I used to watch her to get inspiration in high school, and I would watch her videos to fall asleep at night because they were so relaxing. And she does these really cool watercolors where they almost just look like an explosion of colors with a picture kind of nestled in there. So I tried to kind of do something like that. Bear in mind that this, again, is very thin, crappy paper, and it did not bode well for the watercolors. I really couldn't blend them much, and the paper got really, really, really dark and wrinkly. But in the end, I'm not upset with it. I think it came out kind of true to amateur's version of her style, and I think that if you knew who she was, you could maybe tell that it was inspired by her. So that was kind of cool for me. I also love these little watercolor pens. My husband bought me them like a year ago, so we could have like a little painting date night, and I use them all the time instead of a paint cup. So big fan of those. I lost my train of thought about what I was going to say next. She didn't do too much of going in with the white pen, but she was one of the first artists that I ever saw do it over watercolor like that. So I wanted to just kind of go crazy with it. And I've been in this phase of not wanting to put really dark black lines on anything and really enjoying using white or like a color to line things. So I kind of want to explore that a little bit more and see where it takes me. So at first I just kind of tried to outline the line, but then I started having a really fun time trying to like identify all the different little values in some of the little clouds of paint and outline them. And I think that like, I don't know, it kind of taught me that I could layer a lot more, or how to layer possibly to get those kind of colors out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to add eyelashes in and then wrap it up. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and you check out all of these artists because they're spectacular, every single one of them, of course. And let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Tell me how I'm doing because I know this isn't like a skill building type part yet, but I'll get there. I think I want to do some like timed figure drawings next maybe, and a little art supply haul. But thanks for watching, and like the video if you can. Check me out on Instagram. I'll see you guys next time.